Welcome back to the Auto Insider, where you come to find out what's new, what's hot, and what's not in the automotive industry. This week, we're talking about the 2023 Toyota Sienna minivan, and we actually put it to good use this time. There was yet another volleyball tournament going on in Orlando, Florida, which meant 400 miles each way, 5.5 hours behind the wheel. A lot of stuff to carry for a 5-day road trip. No better vehicle could I think of than the Sienna minivan for such an escapade. Wireless phone charger, hybrid technology, roof racks for the extra stuff, and they even made it look cool with the new grille and the new body enhancements that make it look more SUV-like. Unlike an SUV, is this 500 miles of range from this 36 mile per gallon minivan. That's right, the hybrid 2 powertrain in this minivan gets us 36 miles per gallon in this front wheel drive version. That meant we only stopped at Buc-ee's for fudge and brisket sandwiches. No need to fuel up. And with these lines, that's another advantage to the Toyota Sienna hybrid. Now that the three of us have refueled, it's back to the open road. And this dynamic radar cruise control on the Sienna works fine as long as you're in congested areas. But when we get out here on the open road, I find that every once in a while, other travelers take the liberty of taking that gap that the Sienna leaves. It still makes for a relaxing drive when you don't have to focus on steering and staying in your lane the entire time. Toyota does not advertise this radar dynamic cruise controls as any type of semi-autonomous driving, but it does take the load off when you're on the road, gives your brain a bit of a break on these long road trips. And with 500 miles between fill-ups, there's a lot of driving all at once. And as advertised, the Sienna brought us all the way to Orlando on 1 tank of gas. It did spend a lot of time sitting around, but it was day 2 before we ever had to fill up. And we made a lot of runs. On the way here to Orlando for this volleyball tournament, we got a lot of stares. People in older minivans were looking at this Sienna, kind of trying to figure it out, because I think when that Korean brand came out with their minivan, they made it look more desirable, made it look more like an SUV. So Toyota, doing what they do, they never really change their brands much midstream. But what they do is they make little tweaks that you notice, but you don't really know you're noticed. Like the front end, that front splitter there gives it a little more of a sporty edge to it. Maybe not so much like the volleyball soccer mobile that it is. And then along the sides, those side skirts down there, give it a little more of a aggressive style and stance. It makes it look like it's riding lower to the ground. And then the wheels, they really set the look off. So if you have to have a minivan, and I know that's bad to say have to, because these are really nice, you might want to go with one dressed up more like the Sienna that we're driving. So again, the Sienna is probably my favorite road trip vehicle. Now, we've driven some of the other minivans from Kia and Honda, and they were great. They both had features about them that I enjoyed. But when it comes to the fuel efficiency, the power that's needed, the storage capacity behind that third row, and the reliability and longevity of the Toyota brand just in and of itself, it's hard to find a minivan better suited for a road trip than the Sienna. And now we're summoned to the front door to pick up the family. So when you get a minivan, this is something that you'll have to get used to. We've all been walking all day, but they can't walk to the car. They need me to pick them up at the door. And the little princess really loves this part. Because all she has to do is jump in. And the wifey kind of likes the front door service as well. back to driving the daisies. While that may seem like an inconvenience, it's nothing compared to what you have to do in a minivan when you get back home. You see all of these great storage compartments, all these places to put things along the trip. You find yourself dropping things everywhere, even in a vehicle of this size with only 3 people. So the cleanup when you get home is the part that you never see. This is what you always get to look at. The fact that it has 4 climate controls. The fact that it has enough room here in the second row that you can slide this seat all the way back and have all the space you could ever need. My 15-year-old even likes to sit on the floor to eat. You have the blinds to block out the sun. There's enough cup holders for an entire volleyball team in here. But this is the reality of what a minivan looks like on a road trip. And while it may cause some of you with OCD to be a little bit overexcited watching a video like this, isn't it great to know that you have all this space and all this connectivity and technology to keep the family entertained on the road trip? There's enough USB ports for everybody. There's even rear entertainment. So if your family does a lot of road tripping, which is what people do these days, especially here in America, a minivan could be your best friend. When we're considering if a minivan is hot or not, it's being judged on a totally different category than every other vehicle that we've driven. This Sienna hybrid with 36 miles per gallon, 500 miles of range, and enough seating for 7 passengers is the epitome of hot in our opinion. Until next week, I'm Daryl Killian for the Auto Insider.